Hi, this is Josh McEwen here with episode 4 of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, where we bring your community to you by letting you know what is in the area while highlighting the advantages of shopping local. Today we are here with Irene Witten of Savour The Flavours, who operates a culinary walking tour out of downtown Orangeville. Through Savour The Flavours, Irene guides tourists, newcomers, and longtime residents through the area, stopping at many of the independent restaurants for a tasting, allowing her guests to truly experience what downtown Orangeville has to offer. I personally have gotten to experience this, and I learned a lot, even though I've been here my entire life, on top of trying a bunch of new foods. In addition to this, a significant amount of the proceeds generated by these tours goes to the Orangeville Food Bank. We are truly lucky to have Irene helping out our community, because believe it or not, Savour The Flavours benefits the community in even more ways than this. Thanks to Irene for making this episode possible, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. So it's Josh here with Dufferin Spotlight, and as always, I'm here with Rob Bailey.
Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today we're here with Irene from Savour The Flavours, and would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and business?
Sure. Thanks for having me, first of all.
Thank you for coming.
Savour The Flavours is a culinary walking tour of downtown Orangeville, and we're in our 5th season, and we just love to share the things we love about Orangeville.
And is it true that you're not from the area?
No.
So you're someone that's from out of the area who's decided to help share Orangeville with everybody else.
Yes, I started the tours when I was living in Brampton, and 3 years ago, so 2 years in, we were looking to move out of Brampton.
Yes.
And I was looking in Orangeville, but we ended up landing outside of Tottenham.
Wow. So you must have saw something special here to actually want to share it. Because, I mean, especially if you're not from here.
Well,
wow.
If you've been in downtown Orangeville, then you know you don't need any explanation, really.
For sure.
Beautiful buildings, lots of interesting businesses, and
The independent food shops and restaurants alone.
Yeah.
It's such a foodie town and an artist community. It's beautiful in every way, and such a tight community. When I say tight community, I don't mean that they don't let anybody in, because they've let me in. They've welcomed me with open arms.
True.
But I mean that they look out for one another.
There's so many people in Orangeville that have been here their entire lives that haven't actually experienced downtown.
I know. Many times I have locals on my tour, and so many of them will pass a shop like Sproul's Emporium, and they'll go, "How long has this been here?"
Exactly.
And it's like, a while. So I find that there are a lot of young families in Orangeville who I've met.
Yes.
And a lot of them, I mean, it's a commuter town, so people come home from work, they hit the Walmart, the Home Depot, and they don't really carve out time to kind of we should all take a little vacation in our own town.
For sure.
To get to know what they have to offer. I find locals are surprised every time.
Definitely. Especially on Broadway. Like, everyone thinks everyone knows what's on Broadway, but if you actually start looking, you'd be surprised what's there, what you've missed. Like, it's pretty surprising, I think.
It is.
once again, we've said before, but since we've started doing this, the amount of businesses that we've found in the area that we had no idea about, and they do amazing things. I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah, just even around the corner from here.
It's true. It's true.
So, how many people do you employ today?
Always only one.
Awesome.
I've only needed one. There has to be 2 of us to do the tours.
Makes sense.
So that one can kind of be in the background and make sure everything runs smoothly. And I get to talk all afternoon.
I'm going to be straight up. Like, Irene was nice enough to let me go on a tour, and it was awesome. Like, it's run so smoothly that one employee helps out immensely, I can imagine, because it allows you to do your job amazingly.
I don't have to worry about time because she does the hard work.
And I know Josh was also mentioning, too, some pretty cool facts, but you also tell a little bit about the history of downtown and some of the buildings as well, right? So it's not just a food tour, you're also telling people...
Absolutely. Well, it's hard to walk by Town Hall and not have questions about, why are there steer heads on the side of the building? And geez, how long has this been here? And, you can't help but ask. So when my longtime friend Linda Dickinson and I got the idea to do the tours, she had me come and visit, and we trudged through the snow along Broadway and we looked, and it was just my jaw dropped at how charming Broadway is and the architecture alone. And that made us want to kind of delve into the history and try and pull out some things that we found interesting. And we thought perhaps other people would find it interesting too.
Well, for sure. Like, I'll be honest, I tend to overlook things like that. But after going on your tour and learning what I did, especially like just about Rustic itself, like the Rustic restaurant, and learning what used to be there and what happened with that, like that's interesting. And I mean, like the architecture stuff, like it's really beautiful.
It really is.
It's easy to overlook, but thankfully your tour helps open people's eyes up to that.
And to know what a lot of the places, the restaurants and food shops we go into, they let you know what, it was a bank, it was a store, it was this before, and back in the day they did this because of that, and it's really interesting. So that's one thing I love about the tours. My guests, they don't just get to have a little inside scoop on the restaurants and the food tastings, but they get to get a picture of what the town was like back in the day, and they come away with a bit of an education of the history and the food, because as you know, Josh, from the tour, the places really do a good job in presenting, and you can really see the passion for what they do.
Yeah, you definitely can. Mm-hmm. Not every town has a main street like ours. Like, it's pretty awesome. And I mean, you can go to a lot of towns and it's like a lot of big box stores and like, okay, well, what used to be here? Oh, well, this Best Buy used to be a Future Shop. It doesn't have 100 years of history.
It's true. And did you know that in 2016, Orangeville won Best Main Street in the whole country?
Oh, yes, you shared that with me on the tour. That's right.
So that's quite a feather in Orangeville's cap, I think.
Yeah, and everyone here should be experiencing it because
and well-deserved, because it is beautiful.
There's definitely a lot of work and thought that's been put into it.
Absolutely.
And with keeping the downtown that way, it brings in a lot of people from outside to come see it, like as you were saying, right? I mean, you see it, it's beautiful, and you want to come tour around, and you give people the option to do that and learn about it too.
And the point of the tour, I mean, the whole thing about restaurants, people go in or they look at the menu, they don't really know what the food is like, they don't know what the atmosphere might be. So I feel that I can give them the opportunity to do that and hit a few places and get a feel for not just the restaurants themselves, but the town. And the whole point is I want them to come back and explore some more. That's why I mentioned things like the festivals and Island Lake. I want them to fall in love with it the way I have, right?
Yeah. And it's awesome because, I mean, a significant portion, at least on the tour I was at, there was a lot of people from out of town.
Yes.
So you're drawing them in, and like you said, hopefully they come back. And there's definitely some that seem like they were going to come back.
Definitely. And I love having the locals as well. We had some new who just moved to Orangeville, which was nice for them to kind of get an introduction to town.
A younger couple, right?
Yes. And I had a mom and her 2 teenage sons from Cuba.
Really?
They flew to Buffalo, wanted to see Niagara Falls, saw both sides, were on our side, and went, what else should we do? Hey, let's see what there is to do with food. And they drove to Orangeville, did the tour, and got to meet the mayor, Jeremy Williams at the time.
Nice.
Just by chance, he took us on a tour of the council room, where they have the meetings.
Wow.
Yeah, and he put on the fancy... the
gown,
stuff he puts on. They got pictures taken. They were so happy.
So cool.
And I said, where are you going next? And they said, we're driving back to Buffalo and flying home. And I went, oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, you made that experience. I mean, geez.
Definitely. So.
And another thing is, I mean, it might sound silly, but I've hesitated to walk in some of these stores because I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not the right clientele, or maybe I'm going to go in there and look stupid. But you've really opened up my eyes to some of these restaurants. Like, I'll definitely be going back because I figured it out now. I know how to go in there.
Yes.
And everyone's approachable and nice.
And even the high-end restaurant, all of the places, even the non-food shops, Dragonfly Arts, you walk in there, I mean, it's like, ooh, all artsy and beautiful works of art. You walk in there, and it's like you're walking into a friend's house.
Yeah, the customer service there, like Faye and Joan, like they're great people.
They are everywhere you go. I mean, we walk into Rustic and the owner was the most down-to-earth, lovely person. So they're all, I've always felt welcome, whether I'm doing the tour or just walking in on my own.
And that's, a very important thing for especially small businesses to have, is that welcoming feel when you come through the door.
Yeah.
And making people feel, welcome in there, because that's going to bring people back all the time.
Absolutely.
100% right, yeah.
If I could ask, where do you think most of your competition comes from?
Well, there are no other food tours in town.
That's right.
But there are other ways to spend your afternoon.
Especially when you're bringing people from, like, never mind of Buffalo, but Niagara Falls. But there's tons of places in between here and Niagara Falls where they could have went and spent their money. You beat out a lot of competition.
I did. I think it's the price point. And then once they go, wow, that was really worth it. That wasn't a $25 tour. That was a $60 tour for $25, right?
It was 2 hours well spent. Like you're entertained, you're amused the whole time. Like it's awesome. It's not too often I go out on the weekends and do stuff, but I actually had a great time. It was awesome. Yeah. And I was alone. So if you have somebody else to go with,
it's even better.
Yeah. You beat out a lot of competition. How do you think you did that? Like there has to be something that makes you different.
Honestly, because it's a hobby for me, I think it's pure enjoyment. The fact that I really, truly started the tour just for fun.
That's true. If it comes from a good place, it becomes evident.
It's a hobby that happens to showcase a town that I feel has endless good things going for it. Another thing is customer service. My background is in customer service, and I think that sets apart one company from another in the same industry.
For sure.
If I don't communicate with people when they've booked, then I can't leave them hanging. So that's a huge piece for me.
Especially in your business, it's extremely important.
Yeah, and I make sure from the moment they book to after the tour, I'm in touch with them. I confirm, okay, got your email, thank you, great. And on the tour, I want to make sure everyone's comfortable and engaged. And then after the tour, I send the group picture and I honestly tell them it was great to meet them because I get to meet so many people and everyone's in a good mood because they're eating.
Yeah. And that's one thing that we've said over and over again too is, I mean, you have to have good customer service, and then on top of it, like you have for what you do, you have to have the passion to want to do it too. If you're forcing it upon yourself to do something, that's going to come off to, in your situation, your guests and customers, and they're going to feel that, right? Like if you don't want to be there, they're going to be able to tell that you don't want to be doing that.
Absolutely.
And if this was something you had to do every day, that would go away pretty quickly, I imagine.
If I get to meet different people every day, yeah, I'm one of those people.
Oh, that's good.
People.
Oh, yeah, imagine that part. I was just saying, like, maybe going out and handling the tours every day, like, it might get a little...
Yeah, it would be a lot of work. Yeah. It would be exhausting.
Yeah.
It would if it was day in, day out, so...
Managing all those different restaurants, everyone, the guests themselves, and I mean, you do take great care when it comes to the guests, and never mind the restaurants on top of that. It's overwhelming, I can imagine sometimes, especially when it's just the two of you. And
well, it's just Saturdays.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The tours are just on Saturdays, not every Saturday. Starting this year, they're select Saturdays.
Good.
And she's with me each one of them. And she's a full-time nursing student and is a shift manager at the local McDonald's. And still, 4 years now, I want to do the tours. She loves it.
That's amazing.
Her family moved to Orangeville from Brampton, and her parents said, Georgetown or Orangeville? And she said Orangeville right off the bat because she'd been working the tours, and you can't help but feel what Orangeville is about when you're out and about in town.
That sound indicates commercial break. We're new though, so we don't have any ads. We'll take this time to let you know what Dufferin Spotlight actually does. Each week, we will be releasing a new episode of our show, Dufferin Spotlight on Business, which will feature a discussion with the business leaders from around Dufferin County regarding their businesses and accomplishments. The accomplishments of small business leaders mostly go unnoticed, but it is our goal to highlight and recognize them, as these are the people who keep small communities like ours alive. In addition to bringing more attention to the businesses in Dufferin, we will share the advantages of shopping local. So be sure to check back each week to see the amazing things people are doing through their businesses. To find out more about what we do and the other shows we will be producing, be sure to check us out at dufferinspotlight.ca.
What do you think customers should look for when they're doing business with someone in your profession? So if they were to go out, whether it be with you or someone else, what are the things that they should look for to know that they're going to have a good time?
I'm a big believer in reviews and checking reviews. Before I purchase something or go on a trip, I check reviews.
That's one of the great things about the internet now.
Yes, and reviews can make or break
They can.
a business. I really feel that.
I agree with that too. I mean, one thing I think some people get into a bad habit of doing is only taking the time to give a review if it's a negative experience. But if you have a good experience, the best thing you can do is give that business that review because it's going to help them a lot.
I agree 100%. And I can honestly say I have left more positive reviews than negative reviews. But honestly, if I am really unhappy about an experience I had, before I review, I go to the owner and I explain what happened and express my concern or my
Yeah, well, just
Yeah.
your thoughts, because I mean, it doesn't help when you just go straight to the website, right? Because I mean, first of all, it becomes a completely different situation. Whereas actually, when you go in there in person, it's a lot more. I take that a lot better because I mean, at least they care enough to tell you instead of going to blast you on the internet, which is pretty easy.
Exactly, and because it can make or break, right, Rob?
Exactly.
And it could be a one-of time. It could be, it could be under bad circumstances. And by you speaking to them first, you might get an apology, an explanation for, what happened, why that might have happened. And I mean, it's not always on purpose or
Carelessness or
carelessness,
thoughtlessness.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's something where we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have bad days.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Everyone has bad days.
For sure. So that's why I try and do that. But back to the question about what I think customers should look for is excellent customer service.
Yeah.
And that you might find in the reviews, and passion. I think even just going into an establishment, you can look at fromage, for example, our first stop on the tour that day. You could tell that Christine and her staff have the knowledge, the experience,
Yeah.
but when they're talking about the cheese, they're so excited.
They care about what they're talking about, and they seem to love it. Like that's
Exactly. We should all find something we love to do and do it, right?
exactly.
It's a hard thing, but if you do find it, I mean, it's
Gold.
We've heard a lot of stories where it's worth chasing it, because that's the one good thing about what we're doing. We've got to hear a lot of positive stories about people that have chased their dream and they love working every day.
Yeah, finding something to do what they love to do.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get to have that experience, and seems
For
like
sure.
a pretty good one to have.
But
Yep.
at the same time, it takes a lot of work and effort, right? Like you took a risk. Like,
Yes, for sure. There's always risk, but you have to take a risk to find out if it's going to work or not.
exactly, and that's how you get to the payoff that Rob's talking about. It's awesome. So, when you were younger, did you think you'd be doing this?
Funny enough, I did go to school for travel and tourism, so it wasn't a conscious thing that this came around, because in between I worked many different jobs doing many different things.
Yes.
And a stay-at-home mom for many years as well in between. But I thought it was funny when you're asking this question now that it's kind of come around, where I guess I'm drawn to people and tourism. And I think the bottom line is that if I'm excited about it, I have to share it. So,
Well, I mean, it's definitely like it worked out. I mean, the town of Orangeville is benefiting from it.
well, I hope so. I hope so. And they should. It's a gem of a town.
And I mean, even more so, a lot of your proceeds go to the Orangeville Food Bank.
Yes, I do the best I can to support them. It's not a moneymaker. This is not really, I guess it could make some money, but it was never intended to be like that. It was fun. So as long as I can pay for the website and pay for my employee, then everything over and above that goes to the Orangeville Food Bank.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Happily,
Thank
they do so much good in the community.
You do a lot of good in the community too. I mean, wow, like, jeez. Because I mean, you're not even a local. Like, I mean, you might as well be, because I mean, you've done a lot more than most locals, including myself, do. But I mean, it's it's impressive.
I may not live here, but my heart is here somehow. It grabbed hold and never let go.
It definitely shows. We're so lucky, because I mean, between that and like the business you're throwing these restaurants and helping show off our community, bringing tourists into town, and then helping out the food bank, like it may not seem like a lot, but a couple $100 can feed a family for a week.
I know, and the volunteers at the food bank, the people who run it, they can stretch $1 like nobody else.
Good.
So, yeah, so that's this season. What we're doing is all season long matching every dollar donated. So if you donate $5, $10 will go. So that was the one piece. And then for September, because it's Hunger Action Month, all the tour costs will go directly to the food bank.
Wow.
So that's
amazing.
The food tour should support the food bank, right?
Yep. It only makes sense.
Our town is very lucky.
No, it is, because I mean, and it's rare that you get to see something benefit so many things in so many different ways, because I mean, you're showing people these great businesses that are in town. They get to maybe experience them for the first time, and then
Yes.
on top of that too, I mean, donating to the food bank, it's helping a lot of different people.
Yeah, so many. Like, that's a great point. Like, how many businesses can say they affect that many people? Like, you like to call it a hobby, but I mean, how many hobbies do that?
Well, it's kind of, I don't know. I look at it as a little selfish, because it is really fun.
That's the
It
best
really
part
is fun. So I get to, like I said, meet new people, show them all kinds of things that maybe they didn't know about or haven't
sure.
experienced, and then at the same time maybe help a little, right?
Again, I've been here my entire life, and I learned a lot. Never mind, I've been in stores that I've never been inside before. So I mean that you're definitely helping everybody. Oh, never mind, I had a great time.
I am so glad that you did, Josh. And you should go back downtown and just wander in and out of all those shops.
I plan. I want to go back to the chocolate shop. That's definitely one place I'm going back to. Okay, it was awesome.
I'm shocked to hear that.
It was great.
I'm curious to ask you, where was your first job?
Funny enough, because it was right out of school for travel and tourism, I was at a wholesale tour operator.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. That is no longer, but back in the 1986. Yes,
back before like the internet became mainstream and people started booking their own
yeah,
stuff.
we had the telex machine, back then. And typewriters.
Did you buy or inherit this business? I think you said you started it, right?
Yes, started it with my longtime friend Linda Dickinson, who is an Orangeville resident. She moved here from Brampton in 2014, and it was her idea. The whole thing was, wow, look at this place. When we were walking down Broadway, look around, and I said, it's beautiful. She said, do you think we could run a food tour? And I said, of course we can. And we've never done anything like that or run a business of any kind.
That's awesome.
So, but I'm one of those people where I say, of course we can, yes. And then later on I think, how are we going to do this? And we just kind of did it.
Figured it all out as it went.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we should be thanking Linda for bringing you to our town.
Absolutely. So Linda and I did it together, being friends for many, many years. It was her idea. She had me up. We walked down Broadway and she was showing me how beautiful the downtown core is. And she said, do you think we could run a food tour here? And I said, of course we can. And that's how it started. And
Wow.
we were running it together for the first season. And then she changed jobs and her work didn't allow her to work on the weekends. She had to work her job on the weekends.
Makes sense.
So then I took it over and hired Kendra Dove, another, as I said, resident of Orangeville, and I couldn't do it without her.
Wow.
She's right on the ball.
And I mean, that would have given a lot of people like an excuse to maybe call it quits. Because I mean, your friend left, and that's why you originally started, right? Was to spend time with your friend. Never mind, do great things. But I mean, that was an initial motivation. She brought you here.
Yes, and it was. I did think about it. I thought, this was the whole point, is to hang out with Linda and do this fun thing that involves food and people together. And I realized that I still enjoyed it. And I already sold some gift certificates. You kind of were in for the next year for sure.
Yeah.
And actually, it wasn't until the middle of 2017 that I learned there was a food bank in Orangeville. Didn't know. Shame on me. And I
think
went,
there was a lot of people before it moved on to Broadway there. And even then, I think there was a lot of people that had no idea where it was or if one even existed. I honestly feel like there was a lot of people in the same boat.
Yeah, I didn't know until June 2017, and that's when I decided, we're going to do this. We're going to do what we can here. So, yeah.
Wow.
And that, I mean, even that continuing on, that once again shows the passion that you have for it too, right? Something you truly enjoy doing. So,
and I've built a relationship with the restaurants who've been, so many of them have been there since day one. When we started, there was a risk. You kind of go, do I spend the money to get a website up and start up so I have something to show these restaurants to say, hey, do you like this idea? Do you want to be part of it? But they might all say no. So, or do I go with nothing and try and, act it all out for them and have nothing to show? So we decided, Linda and I, to spend the money, which wasn't a ton of money, but it was a bit of an investment.
For sure.
To get started. And we went around, and the Black Wolf was the first place, the Black Wolf Smokehouse, that we went to.
Yeah.
And
I'm not a beer drinker, and the beer was great. I don't even drink beer.
Yeah, and that's their local Black Wolf lager.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a very nice light one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we had the Black Wolf on board, and Coriander Kitchen, Fromage, Mocha Berry, Euphoria, and Chocolate Shop, our Mill Creek Pub, and Route 145 on Broadway. And then we kept reaching out to others, and that's when we got Rustic, Local Bistro, Wicked Shortbread, Soul Live, And as soon as RJ's opened shop in town, we got them on board. And they're all, so I've built a relationship with a lot of these places now. Some have kind of dropped off or closed or changed, and or they did it for a couple of years and then they're kind of doing different things, and that's all great. And I still talk about them even after the fact. But I've gotten to know the owners, and they've, it's almost like you kind of have a little family of it's friends and family, and I've gotten to know like RJ, Reggie, and Jude, and their daughter Irene, and their niece Shinen, and I go in there, and it's just like visiting friends every time I'm in there to order food or just to say hi. It's hard to walk by. I feel funny to walk by any of the places without poking my head in to say, how's your week going?
Like when you drive by a family's place or friends, you feel obligated to drop in, say
exactly.
hi.
Exactly. Except it's, you're going to be welcomed with a smile, and how's it going, and how are you doing? And winters are long, and I don't do the tours in the winter. So when I do get into town, it's like, I want to see everybody, and Jill at Sproul's.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, Joan and Faye, and it's just really great to see them.
So I should make sure I hit up on this. What months does Savour The Flavours operate?
We start around Mother's Day in May, and we usually go until the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Perfect.
So October, end of September.
Looking for a Mother's Day gift for next year.
Perfect. Yes.
Exactly. Wow, that's awesome. You're getting a lot of the good months. I mean, that's all the good months.
It is, and we've been lucky. I mean, we have umbrellas for everybody. Nice orange umbrellas if it is a rainy day, and in almost 5 full seasons now. Well, I can count on one hand the number of times we've needed to open the umbrellas.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really
so
lucky.
We've been really lucky. And the first 2-3 years, it was every single Saturday from May through to the end of September. And now I'm just kind of paring it back a little bit and making it's select Saturdays.
Yeah, you want to make it work for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's too often, then I want to have nice full tours, and I want to be able to accommodate people. And the odd time they'll say, you're not running this Saturday, and if I can, I try,
And you're still human. You work during the week.
It's your summer too, right? So I mean,
yes, and I have my home to look after, and chickens and pets, and yes.
Oh, were you doing honey as well?
Honeybees. That's all my husband. My husband is the beekeeper.
Wow.
Yeah.
do you mind me asking, how much of your time does this take a week between preparing and everything?
I can imagine it takes quite a bit.
I'm thinking about 15 hours a week, including the actual tours too. And
Wow.
Preparing for the tours and communicating and returning emails and, checking with the restaurants, giving them numbers, making sure we're good. Yeah.
That's a job. That's 15 hours.
But it's fun.
That's good. I mean, that helps make it worth it. Because, I mean, again, you have a full-time job and a house.
Full-time job. And the full-time job is in Brampton, so it's 100 kilometers a day.
Oh.
But it's good. I get lots of thinking time.
That's true. That's something I actually do miss from my commute, is the thinking time.
Yeah.
I'm sure for how long you've been doing it now, though, that you've probably got it down to a science, though. I mean, probably takes you a little bit less than maybe when you started running around and.
Oh, absolutely. It was 30 hours a week for sure in the first couple of years.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely, because you're trying to get your groove and make sure things are flowing, and
You have the website to look after too.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Josh with another commercial break. I just wanted to give you a heads up that it's pretty easy to build and manage your own website. And if you run a business, you probably should do that. It's quite likely that you're paying more than you need to for a website that doesn't improve the operations of your business. If you do it yourself, you will have the freedom to do what you want when you want. To find out more, check out the articles on our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Do you find it difficult managing your day job, business, and personal life? Like we mentioned here, this takes up quite a bit of your time. Do you have any tips?
Yes.
Seems like a handful.
Yes, sometimes. I mentioned my commute to Brampton every day, so it is sometimes a challenge to juggle everything. And while I'm still working on finding a true balance between everything, I think setting time aside to work on the business has helped. I actually will put it in my calendar online. I'll put it in my calendar like an appointment.
That's
so
good.
if I say, okay, I'm working on this week's tour, so getting ready for it, I have to do name tags and get giveaway coupons or gift certificates ready, things like that. I set it up like an appointment, and that helps me to not be rushing on a Friday night going, oh, I have the tour tomorrow and I have to get ready. So I try and do things like that. That helps me.
Yeah, organization, I can imagine, with everything you got going on, I can imagine it's key. Like you said, scheduling your own appointments with yourself, I can imagine that helps a lot.
It does. And I can't fly by the seat of my pants. I think people would notice on the day of the tour, even though, Rob, you mentioned that, I've done it 5 years now. It must be, I got it down pat. But every group is different.
That's true.
And I do find that some are more chatty or others kind of stay to their own, who they came with. It's a little psychology, I think, in there too sometimes, right? I have to kind of get the feel of the group, and it's a different experience every week.
For sure. I can only imagine.
Yeah, like I was going to say, I imagine you have to be on the ball every time too, because I'm sure you get new questions all the time and things that might throw a curveball at you, right? With different people, everyone. It's
true. And I try and always give that little disclaimer that I'm no historian, but if I don't know something, I will find out and let you know.
Wow.
Because then I learned something too, right?
That's
Especially the history piece. There are a lot of questions. So I get a little more knowledgeable each time someone asks me a question, because then I find out and I learn too. But yeah, I have to prepare every time. And believe it or not, every time I'm driving over to Orangeville on tour day, I get some butterflies. Got to psych myself up to make sure that I'm listening, I'm aware. Because like we said, we all have funny days. My husband calls them flat tire days. A flat tire day where everything you touch falls, rips, breaks, goes wrong.
Yep.
Everything you say is not understood the right way. And being a tour guide, which is what I guess I am on Saturdays, I have to be in tune with my guests. And if I'm not, someone may feel offended. It hasn't, touch wood, it hasn't happened yet. Or if it has, no one's let me in on it. But I try to be myself, but also be considerate and thoughtful of who might be there.
You have to connect with the guests, right? Because if not, then that must be a big part of your tours, is just having that connection. And it's going to make them want to refer it to other people and come back as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're managing quite a bit there. Never mind the past weekend, 14 people, which is more than capacity. Even that's going above and beyond. But you're also dealing with the business owners themselves. I know you have Kendra, but there's still quite a bit going on that you have to deal with on top of managing the tour group itself.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, I think. If I have a vision in my mind of how it should play out, then as easygoing as I may appear to be, I like things to go the way they're supposed to go in my mind. Yeah. But if we have to kind of adjust our sails, I can do that. It's just, it takes me a second.
Well, even with having that many people involved, it's a lot of schedules to have to line up as well.
And I have to be considerate of if there are any severe food allergies. Are there any vegetarians in your group? And gosh, sometimes you have quite a few. And you have to ask. Not that you have to ask, but I don't want people to miss out on tasting potentially half of the things if they can't partake because of an allergy. So that's another area where I have to say hats off to my restaurant and food shop partners, because they are so accommodating. I get that it might be in their best interest to be that way, but it's not always easy. Yes, they're expecting 14 people last Saturday, but they may have a group of 25 walk in 10 minutes before we arrive. And that speaks again to what Kendra does.
I just wanted to note that you did a great job pointing out stores that weren't in the restaurant business. There was so many that, I knew they existed, but I didn't know what a lot of them did. There was Sprules, Dragonfly Arts. I know what Dragonfly Arts does because I've been in there, but
Oh, and Seconds Count.
Yes, that's exactly. That was the one I wanted.
Secondhand shop that's run by volunteers, and all the proceeds go to Headwaters Hospital. Beautiful store. Hair Home.
Yes.
Sproles, as you said, and Dragonfly Arts. They're amazing. You could shop the world in Sproles. The whole globe. You have a birthday gift or anything you need to buy for anyone, there's a unique gift guaranteed in Sproul's. And again, in all of these shops, I know we mentioned it before, but you walk in and you feel welcome by all of them. The Happy Place just opened up on Broadway. And we actually took one of our they just opened that day, their soft open. And we walked by and I said, "Hey, you're new." And we walked right into the shop and with the tour. And I said, "Well, let us know what it's about." I mean, it's community, right? It's community. Yes, it's a food tour, but we can't just blindly go up the street and not ooh and ah when we see so many beautiful places.
I mean, nothing would make a new business in town feel more welcome than a tour group coming in the door and asking them, can you tell us what you're doing?
Exactly. And another community piece, Wicked Shortbread has the salted caramel shortbread bars.
Oh, yes.
The caramel is made a few doors away at the chocolate shop in Barb's back room by hand from scratch. And the chocolate shop buys some of Wicked Shortbread's shortbread cookies so they can dunk them in their chocolate.
That's so awesome. Like the chocolate shop and Wicked Shortbread, like those would seem like, even though they're not in the exact same business, but they would seem like natural competitors.
Right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're working together, they're being smart, using their heads, and they're both picking each other's products, like you said, right?
Exactly.
One's picking up the cookies, another one's getting the caramel.
Yeah. That's the thing. They compete for business every day, but they still find a way to work together and help each other.
And everyone benefits from that, including them.
And that's Orangeville.
With all the people that we've been interviewing, we've been seeing more and more cases where there's a lot of these businesses downtown and in Orangeville in general that are helping one another. And it's amazing to see, like you're saying, I mean, yeah, they are competitors, but at the same time, they're still more than happy to point you to someone else's store, knowing that those people are going to also point people back in their direction because they have a good product, they have good customer service, and they're looking out for each other. It's a great thing to have.
Absolutely. How many of these places on Broadway adorn their walls with the works of local artists?
Yes.
Yep.
And
Very
you
true.
can buy them and pay the cashier of that restaurant or shop, and then they put another one up.
It's something new every time you're in there.
It's just another good thing about the community. I mean, because especially artists, a lot of them have a hard time making it to where they need to be. It's a passion of theirs, but they're not always making the money they should be making off the time that they put into some of that artwork.
Exactly.
No.
So anyone that could help them get their artwork out there, I mean,
Absolutely.
kudos.
Hey, it's Josh again with another commercial break. On top of that, knowing my passwords, I also don't pay for antivirus programs like Norton, Kaspersky, or McAfee. Despite this, I feel safer than if I did have them. To see why, check out the articles on our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. Now back to our show, Dufferin Spotlight on Business.
For what you're doing, I know Josh was saying earlier too, I mean, it's perfect for so many different things, a date like you were saying, Josh, or family outing, anything like that. You get to spend time with the family, you get to learn something, and everyone loves food.
Absolutely.
So how can't you have a good time?
It really is for all ages. I've had all ages of children, and they're half price, by the way, because they just they're just too adorable, and they have a good time too. It is for everyone.
Do you have any advice for those starting their own business?
It's important to make sure it's something you're passionate about. Be prepared to work hard to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
We keep hearing that.
Yeah. And I would say don't hesitate to reach out to others in the industry, out in the community, who are business owners. I find that there are so many passionate people in every industry that they are more than happy to share their knowledge, their experience, give you tips, and be mentors.
That's good. That's because, you hear stories about it on TV all the time about like all these successful business leaders, but they're usually done by publicists and it's not really real. But when you go talk to a real business leader and they actually help you, that's invaluable.
I can't think of any business on Broadway or Mill Street that if you walked in and just asked a few questions, just quiz them, I can't imagine any of them not sharing.
That's awesome. Because that does a lot for our community. Because, there's plenty of like, okay, we'll get out of here. Like, you're not buying anything. Can you please leave?
Yeah.
In 2017, I had a food drive tour. So the Orangeville Food Bank was doing a food drive. Every year they do it in August. So I encouraged people for that tour on that year to bring donations to the food bank. And if they brought items, then they got a little ticket for every item. So if they brought 20 items, they got 20 tickets for a draw. And if they gave money, it was a ticket for every dollar. So Kendra, my employee, put it all together. Everyone brought things, brought food. We had the food bank volunteers meet us at the start of the tour and take the donations away. And I had previously gone around to all the local businesses and asked for a donation of an item for this basket, which was the prize. And it was almost $400 worth of things, Dragonfly Arts and Sproles and Route 145. They all donated something to this massive basket. And at the end of the tour, we did our regular draws, but then we did a draw from all the food donation tickets.
Wow.
And someone won this huge basket of beautiful things. And I mean, I went knocking on business doors saying, can you give me something? And not a single one said, no, I have nothing for you. Oh. Not one. And I thought, I have plenty. But then I didn't ask so-and-so and so-and-so.
You don't want to offend anybody for not asking.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I want to be a part of this. Yeah. So that, again, speaks to the wonderful community. I know I say it over and over again today,
but that's proof right there.
But
I mean, that is.
It is.
Wow.
So. That's awesome. I mean, for all those people to be able to do that together, and like Josh said earlier, that could be all the difference for a family. Do you have any plans for expansion?
You know what? I don't. That might sound like I don't have any ambition to make it bigger or better. But I think, because lots of people have said, ooh, Streetsville is so adorable. You should do this. You should have a Streetsville food tour, or lots of other little towns. And I thought, well, I don't know. I feel like the quality might suffer. I'm 100% invested in making sure that every guest has a good time and that they feel taken care of and communicated with. If I were to expand, I don't know that I could, I'd have to count on other people to do exactly what I do the way I do it.
With your quality and customer service, which, I mean...
Yeah, I think...
They're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you have to... Everyone has a passion, but it's not all in the same thing.
Yeah.
So while I might be able to hire people who say, oh, yeah, I can do that, it has to be from the heart. And yeah.
Well, I mean, you seem pretty lucky with the employee that you have now, and it might be hard to replicate and repeat that elsewhere, especially if you're not there all the time to see what's happening. You might not get someone who's passionate about it like yourself. You might just get an employee and you might lose on the quality like I think you're touching on.
Exactly. It's, they say it's hard to find good help these days.
Yes.
I've been spoiled with Kendra, and she'll be a full-fledged nurse next month. So, I mean, I'll talk to her, but I don't think she'll be able to swing it next year. So I'll be hiring, and it makes me a little nervous, to be honest, because I need someone who will be there when they say they'll be there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'll be looking.
Well, who knows? Maybe someone will hear this that shares that passion and they'll reach out to you.
That's true.
I think many of the restaurants that you partner with will tell you the same thing. Like if they tried opening up a second restaurant, which I imagine maybe some of them have, it's hard to replicate what you've done. Just because you run good restaurant, it makes it extremely hard to run a second one. Like that was one of the reasons why McDonald's didn't want to originally expand, is because they're worried about quality.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's a different story nowadays. But I mean, but exactly, like they saw that back then. And I mean, it's still the same case now. Nothing's changed. It's very hard to run two restaurants.
A lot of restaurant owners too, they're married to that business, right? They're there all the time and it's their baby. They're making sure that that's thriving the way they want it to. And yeah, they're cooking, they're doing a lot of the work, and that's what makes a lot of those restaurants great too, is when you have that person there, like we keep saying, that has the passion for it and they keep putting into it to make sure the same quality is getting put out.
Yeah, and what's hard is if it's just that one owner or chef owner, and then they can't be in two places at once.
Exactly.
No, you need a partner that shares those same views, right?
For sure.
How many of those restaurants do you see that, they do such a good job that they make it to TV or they get awarded somehow,
yes,
and then they sell, and then there's a new owner that goes in there, they let quality slip, and then that restaurant's nothing like it used to be.
Yeah, they're not going to get a second visit.
It doesn't always happen, but
yeah,
there
it's
are
a tough
some cases.
business for sure.
Like, the margins in restaurants aren't high to begin with, and I can understand wanting to go for that second restaurant. Completely different business at that point. You shouldn't really be cooking at that point. You should be managing your 2 stores. And that's not what most restaurant owners want to do. That's not why they got into the business.
That's right.
Hey everyone, this is our last commercial break. If you made it this far, thank you, and I must assume you found this interesting. To keep up to date with new episodes, which will release every Tuesday, be sure to subscribe to us using your preferred listening channel. We are available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, in addition to Facebook and YouTube. And of course, our content can always be found on our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. If you would like to see us on your preferred platform, please feel free to contact us through our website. We prioritize accessibility to our shows, so we will do our best to make it happen. That's it for commercials, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. Have you exceeded your original goals?
Yes. Well, I did not think the tours would attract the publicity that they have, which exceeds my goals.
Yeah.
I don't have, because it's not for profit. So there's no budget for advertising. I've been approached by email to, we can do this, and it's way beyond any budget I have, which is zero.
That's good. People see the value in what you're doing, though.
Yeah, it really does. So that was a nice surprise. When you go into something like this out of pure enjoyment, any attention is is sweet. Sorry.
Oh no, all I was gonna say is, and that shows you too. I mean, you could put a bunch of money into advertisement, but that's how far word of mouth goes too when you have a good product, right? I mean, good customer service, good product. You're getting people obviously referred to you because you have tons of people coming.
And we so appreciate it, because the more people we have coming on the tours, the more people learn about Orangeville and will come back and will boost everything. I also didn't know if the tours would generate enough sales to cover my costs and be able to, donate to the food bank. So in that way, it definitely exceeded my expectations.
Oh, for sure.
One more thing to add on there too. I mean, it's amazing that how many people you're bringing from outside of the area into Orangeville, to, help out with businesses, going to these restaurants and other small local businesses. And they're also getting to learn about the area, right? So it's only going to attract more people.
Yeah, and we hope so.
That's an amazing thing that you're doing too.
Yeah, like we have plenty of people leaving the town during the months that you operate. And there's not many things bringing people to town, but you're one of the people helping spur business during times that are slow. Like August is a brutal month for a lot of businesses. And
because people are vacationing?
Cottages, especially on weekends and stuff. Cottages and a bunch of different things. And I mean, understandable. Can't blame them for that. But we don't have as many people coming into town that are leaving. And you help kind of balance that.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Because, we need more tourism-based businesses in this town. It's the only way we can help keep our downtown alive, especially during those summer months. It gets really hard for some of these guys. It's brutal.
What would you consider to be your biggest challenge in the years ahead?
I'm thinking maybe having the energy to continue to come up with creative ways to perhaps have it evolve into something that will never have run its course.
But sorry I don't know if I'm cutting you off, but with you saying that too, I know like you were saying about Christine at Fromage. I mean, even with the people that you're working with, like she's trying to constantly change what she's doing to make it new.
And thankfully the town's always changing, right? As you just mentioned, the Happy Place opened up. And that's something completely new. It's not a food-based business, but you did help show them around. And there will be other food-based businesses leaving and coming to Broadway, hopefully more coming than leaving. But with that'll help keep you fresh too, right? Because there's always more you have to learn then.
Yes. And other shops too, not just the food, like you're saying, like the Happy Place. There was another gardening shop that opened up. I know of a popular catering place that's moving on to Broadway. So we're hoping to have them on our tour next year.
You got the inside scoop.
There'll be some changes. So I hope that I can keep feeling the way I feel about it. And like I said, the energy.
Yeah.
The energy to keep coming up with things. So in the wintertime, I do take some kind of downtime, like, okay. And then I start gearing up again in January, right after Christmas. Okay, let's see what I can come up with. Let's try something new, or new promotions, or new, like this year we switched up how we support the food bank. Maybe I can come up with some more interesting or more fun ways to do that.
Yeah, like the one time with the cans, like you got some tickets, right? Something along those lines. Like it seems like you're regularly coming up with new ideas of how to help.
Trying.
And that proves, like you said before, maybe people might not view you as ambitious, but your ambition lies in that area and helping people, I think.
Yeah, I guess I don't feel it's important to expand and have, like we're talking about, maybe a second restaurant in a different town. That would be like a second tour, my tour, in a different town.
Exactly.
I think this is working, and I'm happy with the way it's working so far.
Are you looking forward to anything in the near future?
Well, I'm looking forward to what new businesses Broadway may have to offer.
Yeah, there's always some coming up.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride, and I hope it can continue for a while.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, like it seems like more and more people are shopping local. There's more of an emphasis with it within the town. Like I think it's really going to help pick up, and I think we'll have bigger and stronger businesses than ever.
I hope so.
Thanks.
It's great.
And partly thanks to people like you who will make it possible.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for coming here. It was a pleasure meeting you.
And you.
And I mean, it's great what you're doing for the community and for people in general that are out having a good time with you and your tour group.
I had a great time. It was awesome. Thank you so much.
So glad to hear that.
Would you like to say what's the best way for people to contact you? Like in case they want to get tickets for next year or?
SavourTheFlavors.net or by email, info@SavourTheFlavors.net.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
And they operate?
May through to the end of September, beginning of October.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh and Rob.
All right. That's it for this week's episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and I hope you enjoyed it. Big thanks to Irene for everything she has done to help us out with our show, and to those of you who listened. If you would like to learn more about the people and businesses who make Dufferin what it is, be sure to check back every Tuesday for new episodes. The easiest way to do this is to follow or subscribe to our show, wherever you prefer to listen. We are currently available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, in addition to Facebook and YouTube. Of course, you can find all of our episodes and more on our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. If there is anywhere else you would like to see us, please let us know through our website and we'll do our best to get on it. If you haven't had a chance to check out our episode from last week, it was with Laura and Danny Austin of the Land of the Glass Slipper, where they provide all-inclusive, yet affordable birthday experiences for young children. We all had fun with that one, so I hope you enjoy listening to it. Until next time, get to know your community and shop local.